City Police. May I help you?
Everybody's dead.
Well, what do you think I
Guy come running into the bar and said that mother and father are shot.
I've been to a lot of crime scenes. I've never seen anything like this.
It's good to have you back, you horror-hungry humans.
I spent 8 years trying to reach him, and then another 7 trying to keep him locked up because I realized that what was living behind that boy's eyes was purely and simply evil.
When there's no more room in hell, the dead will walk here.
Welcome to prime time, bitch!
Hey guys, welcome to another live stream here on Horror and Coffee. I hope you guys can hear me. If you hear me, let me know. And I'm about to bring in my special guest who just tapped into the stage right now. If it's okay for me to bring you in. Is it okay, Baron Vaughn? Give me a thumbs up. All right, ready? Hey.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you clearly. Thank you, sir, for joining me.
Well, I was concerned last when I mentioned that I was having audio issues because last stream I was in, my mic was cracking a lot. So
now you sound
anything
great.
I said, anything that was like, and it just looked like I was just miming or something. You know, it was like I just kind of gave up and did not say anything. All I did was sit and nod throughout the rest of it. I had to turn my mic off.
Nah, man, you sound great.
Good, yay! I did replace the cable, so hopefully maybe that did the trick.
Yeah, definitely that should do the trick. I like to welcome everyone here. We don't have anybody watching yet based on what I'm looking at, but that's all right. Other people will eventually join. I let everybody know. Everybody I know,
gotcha,
about this. So, let's see what happens. It might be late. Maybe some people already gone sleepy, but I don't know. We'll find out. I am very excited about today's topic because it's a topic that's of a subgenre of horror that's very near and dear to my heart and to my special guest Baron Vaughn here, who is a YouTuber as well, and his channel is Exorcist Reviews. He's been a guest here in the past, and his channel is all about based on the classic 1973 and its subsequent sequels and prequels.
Yeah, sequels and prequels, which I still haven't gotten to. It's been 4 years, and I still am talking about the first movie.
Because there's a lot to cover with the first movie. That's why it works. I totally get that. But I figured because of his expertise on the subject of the subgenre and everything, I figured, you know what better person for me to bring in for this particular topic, which is about exorcisms, right? Demon possession, exorcism movies. We have, they've been quite a staple in the horror genre for more than 50 years at this point, because the movie the movie that really like springboarded and catapulted that subgenre to the level that it is to this day is the one movie that everybody always goes to for a reference.
Sure.
And I will present that right now. This movie right here. Remove other media streams.
I'd like to stress that I'm not at expert level yet, but no, it's just that, when I got my channel started, it was like something from another channel, my other channel that I had, I kind of abandoned. But once the TV series came out, that's what started it all. And I didn't realize the rabbit hole I was going to go into when I did. I think I'm still falling down that rabbit hole. I haven't even hit the bottom yet.
It's interesting because I actually thought that was one of the first. That was kind of the first question I was going to ask you anyway. Like how it started, how you started your channel, and what sparked you. But you kind of already starting to answer that question.
I know. And the funny thing is, my channel started off. I wanted to discuss the miniseries that we didn't get. We got brought it up 2 years ago. I think I brought it up with you. I think I think you might have got my attention, or I got your attention, should I say, about it. I think I made a comment about the miniseries, and I think you were asking about it.
Okay.
It was a miniseries that Blatty actually wrote the teleplay for that was never produced, and we ended up getting the Fox series instead. I kind of get the impression they didn't want a miniseries. I kind of think they wanted something they could just keep going with.
Yeah, until they cancel it, which Fox is well known for doing. Hey, look who's here. Tony Movie Chap is here to say hi. Thank you for joining us. You know, and he's already talking. He's already making comments. Exorcist is great, but I love Exorcist 3 more. What do you think about Exorcist 3, Baron?
You know, I'm curious what is Tony the only one in right now? Here, let me get in the comments here.
So far, yeah.
Here we go. Okay, now I can see him. Has he seen what originally what it would have looked at like? You know, where it didn't have Jason Miller in it?
I have no idea. Let's see. He's answering right now. Okay, okay, all right. Hold on, Tony. One movie at a time. I'm gonna get to that one too. We're gonna cover a few films. There's a lot of them that are out there. It's I'm with the constraint time that we have here. You know, we only have enough time to cover a few and stuff like that. Tony, what was the question again? Baron Von?
I think I can't remember who put it out. There was like a Blu-ray of the Legion film, and they also included what would have been the original Exorcist, because, you know, like I think what happened was they ran like screen tests on it, and people didn't like what Blatty had originally, and that didn't include Jason Miller, because he didn't feel like Jason Miller could do the job. He was too wet brain. You know, he's too far gone.
Oh, okay.
You know, he started slurring his speech and whatnot. And in so they had that whole had him write that whole Father Mourning character in. There was no exorcism.
Okay. There was no in the original in the Exorcist 3. There was an exorcism at the end of it.
Sure,
but not in the original script.
Yeah.
Okay.
We didn't have a Father Mourning.
Okay, gotcha.
We didn't have a Jason Miller, and the thing is, you know, without Jason Miller, for me, I couldn't get through it with just Brad Dourif playing both Father Karras and the Gemini Killer. I like what they did. Where they kind of flip back and forth. You know, it's Jason Miller, but you see Brad Dourif there.
Yeah,
you know, acting.
I kind of like that.
I did. I liked it. I did like what they did with that. And then, you know, like when it came out, it was like I didn't quite read the book yet, so I didn't realize that that, you know, all the stuff that was happening, like Father Mourning and all that, I couldn't find it in the book, and I realized, oh, okay, that's not quite the direction he was going, you know, originally. But, you know, the studio stepped in and say, hey, this is an Exorcist movie. We need an exorcism. So that's what I heard.
Yeah. I get that. You know, when I first, by the way, my horror pal gal, the Goth Weekend Vegan, is here. She's saying hi. So it's great to see you again.
I was going to answer the question Tony asked. What did you think of The Exorcist, Emily Rose? I like that movie. I did like Emily Rose, and I think that was one of the movies you were going to bring up.
Right, I'm going to bring it up because there's a subtext content that I want to address that movie about. That's why I can't, you know, I don't want to be jumping around too fast. I want to hit one thing at a time. So that way we make sure we don't miss anything on the particular movies we are covering here, you know, because again, this is such a rich subgenre in horror, demon possession and exorcisms. There's so many movies out there. Yo, I'm not happy about something. The recent one, the Ritual with Al Pacino, they didn't play it anywhere around here.
Oh,
what was I supposed to do? Did you see it?
Probably, yeah, I did.
Oh,
of all places they played it here, and you didn't get to see it.
I didn't get to see it. So what was it good?
That's all I could see in my feed anymore is advertisements for The Ritual, and the slight backlash they got on the whole thing where they're saying it's inspired The Exorcist, so they were going to run with that for a while.
I did a I don't know if you saw it. I did a trailer analysis of the trailer to The Ritual a few weeks back, because I said, "Oh no, I have to address this," because the trailer said the movie that inspired The Exorcist, and I said, "No, it didn't. No, it didn't."
I
Verify.
think they were running on something very vague because
Pissed me off.
there was another trailer that came, or not even really a trailer. It was kind of like the actress that plays the Reverend Mother was talking
Okay.
about how she had a fun fact about her calling her sister. I don't know if have you seen that one? It's a short where she's promoting the ritual film,
No,
and
I don't think
she
so.
makes this thing. She says this thing about, oh, well, I was calling my sister and telling her about this movie I'm going to be in, because she wanted to be in a movie with Al Pacino, I guess, or something like that. And supposedly her sister asks, was the character father, was it Theophilus?
Yeah, something like that. Theo.
Yeah, and then
Pfeiffer
she
story.
said yes, and then I'm looking at a book that he wrote on my shelf and all this whatnot. I totally think she made that up. That's crazy because one, he wasn't allowed to publish anything. He couldn't have authored a book. And every time I see that little ad, I'd always add that in there. And from the only thing that I can say that would be close would be, let me get something for you. I know I got it somewhere floating around here somewheres. I just had it. I just had it. Why did it have to go away?
Maybe Pazuzu misplaced it so they could confuse you.
Here it is. When they're talking about that, the book that they bring up is called Be Gone Satan.
Okay.
And it was the character that Dan Sutton, I think that's his name, that he plays in the film. It's not a big book. Here it is. That's all it is. And he didn't write it. It's actually recorded from another, I think a monk.
Okay.
Back in some places will say it'd be like 39 or something like this. It actually was allowed to be printed in 1935.
Okay.
And it's only like about 40 pages. And the things that happen in this book don't match up with what's in the film.
In the ritual.
Yeah.
So why do they even? Because I know that I haven't seen the movie. You said you saw it. I was not happy that they kind of try to slap the Exorcist inspirational thing on it in the trailer, because I felt like that was a way of them to try to get butts in the
They're going to try to get
money in the pocket.
Yeah, butts and seats.
That pissed me off.
Honestly, I went down there. We went to the theater, and there was like maybe one other person.
And you said you
could feel the budget. You could definitely feel the budget. And the problem I had with the film overall was the damn camera work.
Oh, okay.
It's like the camera's like this all the time. Like somebody's holding it like in an uncomfortable way or something. You never get a still shot.
Steady shot.
You don't get any steady shots at all. And when I forgot what name they used for Emily, I think, or something, or I forget. There's like two names floating around. There was another film that was made on this story that Annalise, I think, or the possession of Anna.
That's actually the story. That's actually the story that inspired the Exorcism of Emily Rose.
And didn't the Emily Rose movie come out before that possession of Anna Eklund? I think it was Anna Eklund was the title of it.
I
tried watching that. It felt like watching a YouTube.
Which one?
The Anna Eklund one. It almost felt like
I didn't watch that one. I don't remember.
Yeah,
watching it.
Don't even bother. Don't even bother.
Fair
I couldn't even get through the first 10 minutes.
But this I can tell you. And this actually leads me to the subtopic here about what is fact and what is fiction.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Some people need to, we all, I believe, need to take these kind of movies with a grain of salt.
Sure.
In the sense of, there's different things that factor in. What's real and what isn't. And the ritual was supposedly what really inspired supposedly that story was the case of a young girl,
Mhm.
young woman in the 1920s, based on what, and I talk about it in my trailer reaction. And I don't have that information in front of me directly, but you can always catch that. Yeah, there it is.
That's the
that
book to look for. Yeah,
that's
it's
the
funny
book to look for.
when the Ritual came out, suddenly this one was like selling.
Yeah,
It
because
had been
people
out there.
wanted to
But
know more about it,
the
which is
thing
not
is,
bad.
when they're trying to see, it was Father Carl Vogel who wrote this one. So
Right.
with her, the actress, I forget her name. She's like been around for a while, in different movies. Turns around and says, "Oh, my sister had the book that Father Theophilus wrote.
Mm-hmm.
Where'd she get that? Where in the world? No, that's not it. You know why? Because probably the only source you could find that would be in this book, and
What's that book?
it's written by Joseph Laycock, who I'm going to try to get on my show
What's
because
it
I know
called?
him. This one's called The Penguin Book of Exorcisms.
The Penguin book?
Yeah, I don't know if that's like just like, it's like, I don't know. It's a weird title. I think they got like the Penguin Book of this and that.
Title, I have to
And
admit.
then, so this one's like the Penguin Book of Exorcisms. This one actually has, he actually saw the actual copy of, it was an actual copy of what Father Theophilus had to say about it. It was recorded. It was not allowed to be printed.
Oh, okay, I see.
So
I see.
what portion he was allowed to put in is in here.
This I know, and I'm there's only two cases that I'm very familiar with that are based on true events that inspired the films. The first one is obviously The Exorcist, and as you know, Baron Von, it's based on the case of a 1949 an exorcism that took place in 1949. And don't tell me. Why do I keep saying Baltimore? Nope, St. Louis. Am I right?
Maryland one.
Maryland. The two places remind me. Maryland.
I just think of the name.
St.
I just think of
Louis.
I just think of the name that they were using, and it's funny. I think they were using Roland Doe.
Robbie, pseudonym by the name
they
of
used
Robbie
something.
Yeah, Robbie something. It was a 14-year-old boy.
Right.
And it took
what
months.
They figured was Hunkler in reality.
And
go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, the story was the story goes that he had an aunt that he was very close to who had passed away. She happened to have been a medium who consulted the dead, right? And she taught him how to use that little contraction you have right behind you, the Ouija board. And he messed around with it in an attempt to reach her. And that's when the Ouija board kind of opened a doorway to the demonic, and he became an encasement for possession. And that started the events that led up to the exorcism and the subsequent expulsion of the demon from him, which has all been dramatized in documentaries and in books.
And in the 2000 film Possessed.
Yes.
That's what that was supposed to be. That I think it was Timothy Hutton that played in that. Is that his name?
Right. I'm not too familiar with it. You're
I saw that one. It was interesting.
I saw it too.
I kind of like the ventriloquist dummy in it. I like that idea. It was just kind of weird, because then you hear the aunt's voice or something coming across it.
Yeah,
that would have been strange.
That would have been strange indeed. But then what happened was that a couple of decades later, William Peter Blatty picked up on the story from the newspaper article that recorded that event, and he spoke to one of the priests that actually participated in the exorcism, if I'm correct, and that inspired him to write the book, which later became the movie. Yeah.
And then you got a slew of movies follow that.
Of course.
And that got popular. Actually, I was going to go through those to kind of show you some influence.
Well, mention one, please.
Okay, we'll start with this one. It's the Turkish knockoff, Shaitan. 1974. And it's weird because there are scenes in here that look like they came off the storyboard. You know, I've seen this storyboard where they show the crucifix scene.
Yeah.
And she's actually sitting upright doing it with this big cross, right? You don't see that in the movie. She's actually laying on her back, but in this one, she's up like in the storyboard. This one even includes the moment when Reagan, well, they don't call her Reagan in this one. I think her name is Ghoul, of all things, a name like Ghoul.
What kind of a name you give a kid that?
I don't know,
care
but it's
what
funny.
country. I don't care what's your background. Ghoul.
It's funny because I thought she was older. She was actually about the right age, and she looks like what's that gal from Seinfeld? She reminded me of her. I forget her name.
Julia Louis-Dreyfus.
Yes, she reminded me of her for some weird reason.
It looks like her. I'm looking at the picture there. I'm like, oh.
I know, but without like the cake batter, because it's funny. Well, that's what it looks like. You know, you'd get these shots where like the cuts are moving across her face in different locations in each shot, and it's like, and so they try to do, and then there's a scene where they try to do the throw up scene, and like the guy who's supposed to be Karras, but it's not Karras. He's not a priest. He's an author. When the mom goes up into the attic because of the noises, and it sounds like they stole the noises from the original film, because they play the daylights out of Tubular Bells every moment. You don't know what she does for a living.
Tubular Bells
plays
is in
tennis.
that movie?
Yeah, they took Tubular Bells and they stole it. Well, you know how it is with like a lot of these Turkish knockoffs. They did the same thing with Star Wars, and they even took footage from Star Wars. They show one of those Star Destroyers flying away.
Yeah.
But instead of using the Star Wars music, they tacked on Indiana Jones. Dun, 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 dun. And then when they did the flying scenes, what they do is they have somebody sitting in a cockpit with the movie playing behind them.
You've seen stuff that I tip my hat off to you, because I wouldn't bother watching stuff like that, but you managed to do it and report to us exactly how horrible these knockoffs can be. So,
well, this is the funny thing about it is originally I was going to do a review of it, and I was calling it like the Catholic free Exorcist.
What does that
because
mean?
You know you can't have like a Catholic in there. You know, they've got something called Zum juice that they're using instead of.
You know why? Because it's probably a Muslim version of exorcism.
Yeah.
Because
it wasn't
Turkey,
a crucifix
right?
she was
Turkey,
using.
Yeah?
It wasn't a crucifix. It looked like
so then it was probably because you see that, and that's an interesting thing about exorcisms. You see, it's an actual sacrament. It's not I guess it could be called a sacramental without it being a sacrament. But it's a ritual that transcends many different faiths, not just Christianity. I mean, we happen to have the monopoly. I'm Catholic. We happen to have the monopoly on it, but other faiths, there are Jewish exorcists, there are Muslim exorcists, there are even Hindu exorcists, from what I know. So you know, it transcends different faiths, which I find interesting. I've looked into that, but the majority of the films that are horror movies are of the Christian Catholic persuasion.
Mm-hmm.
You got to have the good guy in there. It's usually a priest or a pastor.
Or for believers where it's the Avengers Assemble.
Oh God, I hate it. Don't why you bring that up? Oh,
because
I didn't want to bring that up.
Here we are listening to what Chris McNeil is saying about, you know, it's gonna take all of them, you know.
Stupid.
In her Catherine Hepburn voice.
Oh God.
It's gonna take all of them.
Oh man, it's not even that. It's a character assassination of that.
Oh,
character.
Big time. I was kind of hoping they would put a voodoo twist on it, you know, since they were in Haiti.
Yeah.
And you know, it's funny because that book that I showed you, the one with was it the Penguin book of exorcisms? Yeah. There's actually one that has to do with voodoo. They could have went that direction instead of trying to give you all the member berries and here's the main character hitting a body bag and it goes nowhere after that. You know, they show the two dogs fighting, And it's funny because Green said he wasn't going to do that stuff. But
yeah, and he, and Tony Movie Chap mentioned it earlier, and I'll post his comment right now. And the excitement for Mike Flanagan Exorcist sequel, the new one.
If he gets to it,
he hasn't started.
He's pushed it back. He's working on Carrie's series.
Forget about it.
I think for Amazon.
Okay.
He's got too much piled up on his plate. I don't get it. Is that something normal now? He's got he's got the Carrie thing. He's got that, what was it? The Dark Tower. He's got, he might have something else, and he's got The Exorcist.
You see, movie. That none of
that makes no sense. He really hasn't really gotten to it. There was somebody had messaged him, I think it was on Tumblr, about, hey, how's it going on the Exorcist film? And he's like, oh, we haven't even started yet. I got to work on this first, and then so the date that we got's not going to be the date that we're going to have. I mean, it's not going to come out that date, apparently.
And then you know what? I'm not going to hold my breath, because you know what? We got the original classic. We're good.
I'm like, why?
Because this is why. That's it. More butts in the seats, more money, all of that kind of stuff. Let me ask you something. Baron Von. Your fascination with all this stuff and that. Do you consider yourself a religious person?
No, but it's strange. I've got an interest in the whole Catholicism. Looking into the saints. How that all works. And my girlfriend was going to be a nun.
Oh, okay. Well,
but because of certain things that happened, she kind of turned away from it.
Understood. I get that.
It was an Osmond's one bad apple don't spoil the whole bunch of girl moment, but it did.
Okay. No, yeah, I hear you. I get it. I totally get that. I've heard similar stories. And people ask me this all the time, because especially people who really know me. I'm Catholic, and I consider myself, I'm and I practice. I just don't say it by name. I go to mass every Sunday. I try to practice as best as I can in regards to my prayers and my reflections and studies of scripture and everything like that. I've been doing it since I was 16, right? I didn't grow up in it per se. I started grabbing onto it when I was 16, 17 years old, when I did a retreat. And then I got into youth ministry, and I kind of grew up on all that. And I just started learning. I started learning. So I know a lot of stuff. I don't think I'm a theologian. I don't think I'm a Catholic apologist, but I do know enough that I can hold my own. And if people ask me questions, I can answer it to the best of my ability. And if I don't know how to answer that question, I'll be honest and say, I don't know the answer to that, but you know what? That's a good question. I'm going to look into it. And one question that was thrown to me was, Ralph, how can you be a fan of these movies? How can you watch The Exorcist? Aren't you a Christian? That always pissed me off. Not pissed me off, but it always kind of irked me. Because I'm like, what do you think? Because there are people out there that think, oh, you can't watch a movie like that. You'll get possessed. Right?
I actually worry about the whole obsession part.
Right.
I do worry about that.
And here's what I know about demonic influence, demonic attacks. They come in different phases. There's infestation, there's oppression, there's,
and when you get to the obsession,
which is what you just mentioned, and then possession is the final stage. And some people stay only in the obsession part, some people stay only in the infestation part. But sometimes they go through all the stages. But my point is, I'm not worried about that, because this is the way this is how I explain it to people. How can I look like these horror movies about demon possession, or any other horror movie for that matter, slashers, whatever, and be a Christian? Well, it's kind of the way I look at it. It's the same way as being a Christian and reading a book about something fictional. These are stories.
Sure.
These are stories. Now, some of these stories have connections to alleged real events that happened in the past, sure, but that's how I handle it. I'm like, I'm not afraid of any of that. First of all, because I'm kind of secure enough in my faith to know who I belong to. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not worried about that part. The thing that ticks me off is when people want to put me in a box and say I'm not supposed to watch stuff like that. And to that I say, screw you. I'll watch whatever the hell I want because it doesn't do that to my head. Now, there might be some people who, I mean, we remember the 1980s scare of the, kids that committed suicide by listening to heavy metal
like the
music.
Satanic Panic.
Right, the Satanic Panic, exactly. Remember that when Dee Schneider from Twisted Sister had to go to court to kind of like, give witness to the censorship and all that kind of stuff. And then Suicide Solution, I think that was Ozzy, if I'm right. Am I right? Or is that another song or another artist? I don't remember. Anybody knows?
Yeah.
Put the comment. It was Ozzy. The
Suicide Solution thing where the kid was listening to it.
Yeah.
And they blamed the song. And then supposedly there was supposed to have been some backmasking or hemisync.
Yeah, like, play the record backwards. Play the
not
record.
Even that. It was the lawyer that was going up against him said there was this this tone that was put into the song where I guess it was misinterpreted.
Mm-hmm.
They were trying to prove that Ozzy was saying he was actually just saying some stuff into like it was like during a moment in the song where he's just playing around, I guess he said.
Yeah.
They were trying to prove that he actually, I don't know if you have the track off the what was it, Diary of a Madman?
I don't have that album, but I'm aware.
Was it Diary of a Madman? Now I can't remember.
I wasn't an Ozzy fan back in the day, so I don't have any of his records.
I
think Ozzy's a legend.
That kind of got me through my teens.
I think Ozzy's a legend.
Black Sabbath got me through my teens.
Yeah, there you go.
He pointed out there's this line that I think he was just like goofing off, and he said something, and I don't think he can even remember what he said, but they were trying to claim that he said, "Take the gun and shoot." And if you ever listen to that track, you'll know what I'm talking about. There's just this weird moment. It's kind of like into like an amplifier or something.
What I can tell you about that, because is that when this depends on the person. It had nothing to do with the song. The poor kid who did this to himself. There were other underlying psychological and environmental factors surrounding him, probably that I may not know specifically about, but I'm sure people that were close to him do. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And you always have to factor that in. I'm not one to quickly. Do I believe in demon possession personally? Yes, I do. But I'm always. But before I do that, I follow what the church, my Catholic church, teaches. Universal overall, which is that before an exorcism is conducted, there has to be a thorough investigation to rule out any other natural thing. So that's so in regards to me as a Christian, I've learned. I didn't even have to learn. I kind of just knew how to do it, how to harmonize both the practice of my faith and my personal relationship with God, which is very personal. And I want it to even be more personal as I get older, to this, to the horror movies, especially about possession, because I can watch a movie and I'm like, yeah, that's not true. Heads don't spin all the way 360 degrees. Like, I know that.
It's funny because
that's
if you
Hollywood.
really watch it, it didn't spin 360. We didn't get to see that. From what I heard, the dummy wasn't able to do that anyway.
That's why they did
like 180, shots. And then they switched the shot, and then it came back to it.
Right, I remember.
Another 180.
But they gave.
But you're under the impression that it's a 360.
That was the three thing. Hey, Robert makes the cut is here. Hey, Robert. All right.
Hey, he
I'm
makes
gonna
the
exactly. I love Robert. Robert's great. He hails from
cut.
Cali.
He should come in and like makes the cut.
Mix the cud.
There you go.
Mix the cud. I like that. I like the way you said that. So that's good. So here's some now. I've seen many possession movies.
Can I throw some at you?
Huh? Sure,
Can I throw some at you?
please.
Okay. Now we knew about the Shaitan one. Then there was the Blaxploitation's Abby, which Warner Brothers didn't appreciate. Then there was Beyond the Door. These are all coming out.
I know about
74.
Beyond the Door.
Beyond the Door, and this one came pretty damn close, and they even do the breathing and all that stuff.
Yeah.
I
saw that
quite
one. I
watched-
saw that one.
I haven't quite watched Abby yet, so I want to find out what all the
Listen,
because I'm going to do a whole thing just watching all the knockoffs.
I
reviewing them.
definitely wanna, dude. If you ever, if please, I'm dying to find out. Yo, you got to throw the titles of these movies in my
Sure.
Instagram so I can like use that and be like, okay, let me look this up on a day off when I'm like not doing anything else and there's nothing else and I ran out of stereo or something and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna watch this. But there, one thing that irks me about current horror movies that have to do with possession is this crap. Did they do this in The Ritual when they do that stupid thing they climb up the wall?
Well,
and they
in
do
the
snap, crackle,
book, in the
pop?
recording part, she kind of came off very relaxed or something.
Mhm.
And in the actual book, she was all over the place. They had to tie her down. I don't know what the deal is with why they waited. They made her very calm when she walks in. And from what I read and what my girlfriend read, because she read it ahead of time before we went to the movies. And we're sitting together and she's like, that didn't happen. That's not in the book. Why did they do that? Because they had to tie her down.
Oh, I'm sure.
Seriously, tie her down. And when there are scenes where she jumps on the wall that was supposed to have had happened.
Yeah.
But she was like hanging off like a door frame kind of thing on the wall.
Okay.
That happened, but they took it out of sequence. It's almost like, okay, this father so-and-so, he's like a passive father. We can't tie her down. What does that make him look
Let her
bad?
walk around. Let her walk around.
What really threw me was it looked like, when they did the shot where the cars pulled up to the church that they want because they want to perform the ritual at his church.
Yeah. Okay.
It looked like somebody built the car on the road and she just kind of sat. It didn't look real. It just didn't have that feel like this pulled up. It felt like somebody built it's a big prop and she's getting out of the car.
Hold up for a minute. There's something there is, now I mentioned earlier. How do I close this? Hey, how come I don't have a closed window? There you go. There's another movie that came out back in 2 years ago.
Okay.
Came out 2 years ago. And I'm gonna put the ad for it. Now, this movie was not a popular movie. This movie did not
was that Thessarius or
you very good, sir. Yeah, that's exactly.
I saw that.
Yeah, I want to talk about.
I think that's probably. I don't know the case well enough to know if it's real, but it kind of comes off like what you would actually experience. You're not going to get all the like what they did at the end of Believer, where just they threw the money at that with all the special effects and the ceiling doing a weird vortex and all that.
Well,
that kind of came off a little believable in the sense of like it's grounded.
Right.
And maybe that's why it didn't do so well because everybody's expecting what they see in The Exorcist or
exactly. That's exactly it. But I'm going to tell you something. I'm going to be honest with you about something.
Okay.
It's hard for me to talk about this movie. It's very hard for me to talk about this movie, but I'm going to give it a shot.
Okay.
Right here, right now. You see.
Nefarious. I'm sorry.
Nefarious.
I kept thinking something else.
It came out 2 years ago and it was I saw it on just on a streaming service finally, but The idea is this: that a psychologist was called in to try to rule out insanity, or reason for insanity, to a condemned criminal that was about to die, about to be executed. This criminal. But this criminal, particularly, presented himself as being possessed by a demon.
Yep.
And the majority of the movie is a dialogue, really, between the psychologist and the prisoner. And it's mostly the demon speaking through the prisoner, having a conversation with the psychologist, who's an atheist, who doesn't believe. Right? So he tries to rule it out and everything, and the way the movie unravels and wakes up the psychologist to the truth and the reality of evil spirits and the belief in God and Satan and all that manifests itself later on in the film. But there's something about that. Now, this movie was actually made for a Christian audience. This was Christian made, believe it or not.
I can believe it.
Because
I can believe it.
Because and that's why it didn't go the way of like movies like The Exorcist or The Conjuring or films like that, because it wasn't about the whole point of the sensationalistic essence of it. It was more about the spiritual and the philosophical aspect of evil. You see this character speak to the psychologist in plain terms about about the fallen angels, the demons, what happened between them and God, how they deceive people, and the goal was for this psychologist to, I think, write a book that would sponsor and bring about a new age of evil into the world, or something.
Yeah,
like
he wanted a book written or something.
Right,
like that,
right, exactly.
Yeah.
And then, well, again, what worries, what bugged me out about that movie, it's hard for me to talk about it because I think it echoed something inside me that's real, which is the reality of evil, the reality of it. This wasn't a ooh, ah, wow, that was great, let me get my popcorn. This movie didn't make me want to eat anything. I lost my appetite. Because
it got to you.
It got to me in a particular way that made me go,
sure.
Like I couldn't even review it. Because it was good, yeah, it was good, but it wasn't like, to me, a horror movie, as it was more of a psychological thriller that impacted me down to my soul level.
How do you think it would have done, say, in the 70s?
Probably wouldn't have done anything, because the 70s was the height of the devil movies.
I'm not even thinking horror movies. I mean, just
in general,
feel, yeah. You look at stuff like what Jack Nicholson was doing. I just went on a Jack Nicholson film binge one time, so I was like going through like The Last Detail and Chinatown and all the stuff that you probably wouldn't even expect him to, because you always think he's like, the crazy Jack, that kind of thing, but he's not doing that in these films. He was doing pretty well back then, on just films alone.
Right.
I think that would have thrown stuff off had he played Father Karras, because okay, it's Jack Nicholson. You're going to expect something from him. Not saying he's going to go nuts or anything like that. He wasn't playing that part when he was doing that. I think there was a few other films, pre Joker era.
Well,
or even pre Shining era with Jack Nicholson.
Okay. I'm not that familiar with his early work. I mean, One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. Sure.
Oh, that too. Yeah.
But I think for me personally, that movie, Nefarious, just spoke to the level of something else Christians as Catholics call spiritual warfare, which is emphasized in Scripture, which is emphasized in our church teaching, and how it can really get here. You see, the battlefield of the movie itself, the battleground was here, the mind, because it's always the mind where it starts.
Yeah, he pretty much played him pretty well.
And So
and then him, I think he jumped a body or something.
yeah, something like
I
that.
remember how that went. It's been a while. I watched it though.
And that's another misconception. Like, here's another movie. Here's another classic that's up there. And I'm gonna go from the most realistic to the most outrageous now. Ready?
Okay.
Here we go.
Outrageous, huh?
Yeah. Hold on.
It's not gonna be repossessed, is it?
No. Hold on. Where is it? Stop screen. Oh, here it is. Hold on. I gotta stop that one. And
here I'm gonna put a bug in your. There was another film that came out. What I can't remember the title. Where it was supposed to be a girl on a TV show, and it was supposed to be set
Late Night with the Devil.
That's it. Yep.
Which was amazing. I liked that movie. That was good. It had a late 70s feel to it. You know, it felt like it belonged in that time period. You mentioned the 70s earlier, and that movie would have fit in perfectly for that time.
God, they wouldn't even have to try then.
Yeah.
It was already 70s.
It was already 70s. It would have worked. It would have been like this, easy.
I don't know what they had. Well, if it was the 70s, and then you think of the technical stuff that they had for that film, whether it would have been something that would have been available. I mean, it's like they didn't have Steadicam until maybe a couple years after The Exorcist.
Right.
That would have been great.
That's true. And now what's interesting about Late Night with the Devil, it reminded me, because the host was kind of like obviously not believing and thinking this was all for the cameras. But there was a movie called, was it called The Last Exorcism? It was called
I skipped that one. I actually skipped that one. There was this weird surge of like all these movies coming out like that. And I was like, no.
No. Watch that one. That was good. At first, I first saw it in a drive-in, and it didn't really grab me because I guess it wasn't a drive-in. But then I saw it again at home, and I was like, you know what? It's pretty good. It's pretty good.
Hey, Stephanie from I'll Buy the Pop was Grease.
I'll buy the popcorn. Hey, everyone. Hey, Stephanie, how are you? Good to see you. Thank you for joining us. We're talking about possession movies.
Is she really going to buy the popcorn?
She's been buying popcorn. She got a lot of popcorn. She got like loads of it in her house, probably.
Really?
She'll open up her. She lives in Texas. I've never been to Texas, but she can open up that closet.
Well, must be popping some corn there.
Popping corn all over the place.
Hotter there than it would be here.
Oh yeah, well, I don't know. This past week here in New York,
I don't know. Is Texas part of that weird heat dome that they got? They keep talking about.
I don't know anything about a heat dome. Really? I
where it got really hot. And it's supposed to be like in one area of the U.S. It's supposed to be like in triple digits.
It was in the triple digits here last week.
Okay.
Here in New York. I was sweating a lot. It was bad. Anyway, I'm not going to go back in. I don't want to live in the past. So this movie here, check this one out. Ready?
Mm-hmm.
You're going to like this one. This is definite. Now we're going to go from the most serious one, because that one was, to me, serious.
Anybody watching? Let me know if Reagan starts moving.
Oh, sure.
Evil Dead 2.
Come on, man. Sam Raimi. You got it, dude. How can we do these movies and not have this? Huh? It was weird.
I guess.
This was out of the... Oh, I love... First of all, they
Evil
were
Dead
all...
2 for me always felt like Evil Dead 1 done better.
This movie, you can watch this without watching the first one.
Yeah, that's what it felt like. The first one, but done better. Like they had more money or something.
Right. Oh, Stephanie's talking about it here. No big heat wave yet. Not in Dallas. The highest was 95. Okay, that's more or less like here right now.
It doesn't even get there here. Maybe
well, you're
90,
in Alaska, dude.
But not 95. It would have to. I take it back. Maybe in Fairbanks.
Dude, you live in Alaska. If you want ice for your drink, you just go outside.
I just put my hand through the window. Just reach out the window.
Oh man, that's great. So Evil Dead 2. I mean, that one was crazy because the demons like literally would jump into you. You know, like demonic possession is usually a process. It's not something that happens instantly. In this movie, it happened instantly. Like, remember the part when it was chasing him through the woods and he got inside the cabin and it crashed through the door and kept on following him inside?
I did that. Did a camera. I did a shot like that with my phone, but I was chasing my cat. I just where you go like this.
Yeah.
With the camera low and doing that.
I would have loved to see that. Would have possessed the cat.
I lost it. It was on one of my old phones. It would have been funny.
That would have been.
I had to make sure the doors were open though, because it's like
the cat would have jumped out the window. That would be great. That's a good idea. I should mess around with that. My girlfriend's dog.
It probably would have worked better if I had one of those sticks. Those like for selfie sticks, but you turn around the other way so you can run like this,
like chase
and then do
that would be great. That would be great. Tony Movie Chappie says that Army of Darkness is his favorite of the.
Oh God!
What do you think of the recent one that came out a couple years ago?
Oh, what was it? Evil Dead.
The Evil
Rise?
Dead. It was called Evil Dead Rise. Right. What did you think of that? It was different.
I liked the makeup.
Yeah, the effects were good.
Yeah, it kind of reminded me of all those weird things you'd see in the shorts in your feed. Yeah, just like looking through the door and you see the gal all weirded out and possessed.
Yes,
all those weird AI images that they put out now.
Yeah. Here's another one. It came out around the same time as this one. I keep confusing the names, but the one about the movie theater, was that Night of the Demons or Demons? I'm trying to remember.
Wasn't there two of them? There was like a sequel.
I think there was a sequel, but I remember Night of the Demons and just Demons. And one of them involved the movie theater. Everybody was going to the movies, and then something happened, and everybody started getting possessed in the theater.
I didn't
started eating each other or whatever.
Is that came out in the 80s?
Yeah.
I was kind of like in the really campy, off the wall one, but I didn't really focus on the demon ones. Mine was more like Ghoulies. Well, what's funny, because I think wasn't he possessed in the Ghoulies one too? It was like the spirit of some other, like his father or something.
I think I saw that movie only once, so I barely remember. His eyes was
glowing and all this, and he thought he had powers, but it was actually his dad.
I barely remember
something like that. I can't remember how it went.
But I'm gonna tell you this though: the Evil Dead franchise, you can't take it away from them. Even though some of the movies might be questionable, it's one for the books. This is definitely a staple in the horror franchise. People love it. This franchise has a following, a very strong following. My friend Alex from Levels of Geek is a big Evil Dead fan of the old one. He didn't like I don't think he liked the last one.
I think my favorite was number 2, Evil Dead 2.
My favorite is Evil Dead 2 also. That joint had me
What really got me was like how they were driving him nuts. And he's like sitting there in the corner, and what got me was when all of a sudden the deer head turns around and its eyes starts laughing. And starts laughing, and everything's just going nuts. It felt like some nightmare.
I liked when
you start laughing.
I was laughing when his hand got possessed and it started like beating him up, hitting him with plates.
Yeah.
I was dying. I was like, yo, whoops. Hold on for a second. Hold on for 1 second.
Here's one of those little trivia things. The characters in the remake.
Okay. Somebody say something. There you
names, go. Like the first letter in their name spell out devil or demon or something like that.
Which one?
In the remake.
Of what?
Not the one that came probably before Evil Dead Rise, where they try to do like a remake.
Oh, I like that remake.
And then
that came out in 20.
The characters' names, their first letter in each name of a character spells out demon, I think, or something like that.
Oh, that I didn't catch that detail, but I do remember the movie being really good. That was the girl that was dealing with a drug addiction, remember?
Yeah. And then they tossed the stuff in the water. So there was a moment you thought that maybe what was that one scene? She had, what was it, a needle? And she was stabbing at somebody with it or something. I can't remember how that went.
I got to see that movie
glasses.
Again. I remember seeing it and liking it. I should sit down and watch it again. I have no reason not to rewatch it. It's good. I liked it.
And wasn't there like a process in this one though? Something about something that it was like blood rain, and then something was supposed to rise from the ground. I can't remember how it went.
Bro, I only saw that movie once and I loved it, and I should just watch it again so it can all come back to me, because those details, you have more detail in your head about it than I do. But I want to address a couple more things. I want to talk about The Exorcism of Emily Rose, because that movie, and I don't have the ad for it, but The Exorcism of Emily Rose
came
out. What year did that come out in? Like in the early 2000s, mid 2000s, right? Somewhere around there. Hold on, I got you. Exorcism
2002, maybe.
Here it goes. 2005.
Okay.
It came out in 2005. Now that movie was the inspiration from a series of true events that happened to a girl named Anneliese Mitchell in Germany in the mid 70s. Strangely enough, more or less around the same time The Exorcist was released in theaters nationwide here. So, Anneliese Mitchell was a girl who was suffering from some form of epilepsy, but then it started like transmutating into like this thing that she was doing. She was snarling, speaking in different languages and screaming and yelling and everything, to the point that they brought in a couple of priests to perform an exorcism, and it lasted for quite some time. And the girl, sadly enough, God rest her soul, and ended up dying from malnutrition from the experience. The movie The Exorcism of Emily Rose is a variation, of that story, but Americanized, happening here. And I thought it was very well made. They had its creepy moments, but I loved the courtroom drama. That's what makes it different from other.
Yeah, it's because you get those moments where it's like a bunch of your own imagination kind of fills in some of the timeline. They go flashbacks of stuff that was going on, and I thought that was pretty effective. The one thing that really freaked me out about that film was the one scene when I think it was the boyfriend.
Let me guess. Go ahead.
He wakes up and she's on the floor all weird and contorted. That would trip me out.
I was like, ah!
Yeah, I'd be like, what
the hell?
Yeah, no lie.
Like I always imagined like a funny like parody, like scary movie, funny parody movie kind of version of that, where he's like, oh my God, and he tries to get help for her, and then you just see him put her in a cart and just wheel her somewhere, and she's still like that. That's the way I always imagined it in my head later on to make me laugh. But
put her in the shower and maybe she'll just kind of unkink.
Let me stick her in the shower.
She must be frozen or something.
She's like frozen.
Are you cold?
Oh my God. but no, that's true. That scene that messed me up, man. I was like, hell no, I'm out. I would have look. Marty says I love that scene.
Scratching the walls and eating bugs.
Right, which is what they said Anneliese Mitchell did. They adopted that from the true account. Because of the girl's subsequent death, Anneliese Mitchell, the parents were charged, and the priests were charged as well. So it was and you see that also play out with the priest in The Exorcism of Emily Rose. I appreciated how they were trying to figure out what was real and what was it really possession, or was it a medical condition? Was it an issue? Was it the medication? Was it her condition? Was it the epilepsy? Was it something in her brain that was causing her to see these things that really weren't there? Those kind of things, and that I enjoyed very much. I said, wow, this is one of the best demon possession movies I've ever seen. I'm sick of the ones that just involve somebody getting possessed, like the Pope's Exorcist was a movie like that.
Yeah,
it was fun. It was a little fun.
Just because I've seen the Father Amort thing, and he doesn't look like Russell Crowe.
Did you see the movie that William Friedkin made about Father Amort?
Yeah. Did you hear the thing I played on my channel saying that it was like years before he met Father Amort, he said that Father Amort gave exorcism a bad name.
What do you
should
mean?
go back and listen to that. It came out in 2012, I think.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Why
This
did
was
he give
before he met
exorcism a
it.
bad name?
Yeah, he had read about Father Amort, and his first impression, and I think that's the name of the short,
Okay.
is that he said, and it was off a podcast. He was interviewed by I forgot the name of the bunch. They're like Movie Geeks United or something like that. And he made a comment about how many exorcisms are performed or were recorded, and then he mentioned Father Mort doing so many exorcisms. Then he made the comment that he gives exorcism a bad name, but this was before he met him, so
yeah, because Father Gabriel Amorth was an official exorcist from Rome, who performed thousands of exorcisms in his lifetime before his death several years ago. It was great that I enjoyed the documentary. I enjoyed, how he actually filmed him performing an exorcism on this lady, and what that lady was going through in that film. That's more usually what happens during the ritual of exorcism as prescribed by the Catholic Church. They use that book, the Roman ritual, and you see that in some movies. You don't see them in all movies. The Conjuring is another film that's based on true events, alleged true events. I tend to find that one a little bit more fishy, because Ed and Lorraine Warren, I'm like, they hung around with some interesting folks that were very controversial in their own right, like Father Malachi Martin. I don't know if you ever heard of that priest. Have you ever heard of Malachi Martin?
Yeah.
He wrote a book called Hostage to the Devil, where there are 5 accounts of exorcisms.
I don't know if I have that one.
I have it. I've read it. I've read it more than once. I found him fascinating. But then as I got to know about this person, Malachi Martin, he was a Jesuit priest who was very close to the Pope in the 60s and everything. And after the reforms of Vatican II, he requested to be released of his priestly duties, but still remain a priest. So he was able to still do things like say Mass and stuff like that. He moved to New York, drove a cab for a while, and started writing books. And some of the Windswept House, The Jesuits, Keys of His Blood. Those are the books that he's very famous for. He died in 1999. There was even a whole documentary on him in Netflix for a while that I watched. But he was also supposedly an exorcist himself. The Hostage to the Devil book was about other exorcists and what they went through. It wasn't his case. But I found him to be fishy because he hung out with Ed and Lorraine Warren. I've seen pictures of them all together and film footage of them all together, and his reputation is kind of questionable. Ed and Lorraine Warren, the last thing I heard was that little museum they had up in Connecticut was finally closed down, and they got.
I thought they closed that down a long time ago, and they were just kind of what was it? The son-in-laws touring around.
Right. That's what I heard. I mean, I don't know how long ago. Maybe I just caught on to the news of it. Maybe you're right. I guess you're right. If you heard it longer than I have, but the first Conjuring movie, enjoyed it. Second one, loved it. Third one, kind of didn't work. And now there's this new one coming out, Last Rites, that's coming out in September. So get ready for that.
Might as well call it Last Chance.
All right, you better make this one good, guys.
We'll make one more.
We'll make one more, just to, and then all those other movies that stemmed from it, like Annabelle, like The Nun. What else? The Curse of La Llorona. La Llorona. Sorry, La Llorona. There's all these little offshoots from the Conjuring universe, the Conjuring verse, so
darkest chapter of the Conjuring universe.
Yeah, the darkest chapter. And I'm like, no, it's not. It's not that dark.
This one's darker now.
No.
Get the extended version. It's darker.
It sucks.
Get the box set.
This is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna invite people on to see if they want to share what their favorite demon possession movie is.
Here, I'm going to throw some stuff at you.
Please.
Okay. So, okay, The Exorcist comes out, right? And so you get a flood of different movies coming out.
Okay,
A lot
link
of
is up, guys.
Italian films. A lot of the Italians were doing a lot of possession movies. Here's one right here. In 1975, okay, we don't have a Exorcist sequel, right? But this film, The Possessor, 1975, another Italian film.
Okay.
It goes under the title The Return of the Exorcist.
What?
They try to sell it that way.
Again, they want to put butts in the seats.
Then you got a few other ones. Let's see. Was it? This is a double on this one. The Possessed and Demon Witch Child. These are all coming out like 74, 75. And most of them are like Italian. The Demon Witch Child was a Spanish one. I don't know what part. Let's see what else. Let me see what else I got. This one came under like I don't know how many titles. I can't read that, obviously.
Wait, bring it up closer.
It's got Joan Collins in it, and Donald Pleasance. Came out in 1975. Supposedly came out in the UK. This is like a foreign one. It came under what was the titles? The Devil Within Her.
Okay.
And there was another. I think it's more like it's like a demon baby being born or something to that effect.
Oh God.
They were going that route.
I don't know about that. I remember when did you see When Evil Lurks last year?
Yep.
What do you think?
Mark of the Devil.
Mark of the Devil.
Now this actually came out, I think, in 1970. So you did have some movies coming out that had to deal with like Satan and whatnot. You know,
Man,
you had Rosemary's Baby's a perfect example.
Well, yeah, I mean,
Sure,
when you
that's
get
like
into
68.
when you get into the area of the Satan, of the devil himself and the demonic, that opens up the genre, the subgenre a little bit more than just possession. You got Rosemary's Baby, you got cults, you got The Omen, you know, the Antichrist, you got all that other stuff going on. You know, which is not necessarily a demon possession exorcism movie, but it still alludes to the same point, which is Satan and demons and all that kind of stuff. Yeah.
Somebody made a comment in I think it was a Facebook group that it's possible Friedkin got the idea, or Blatty got the idea of the spider walk from a 1963 film that was titled The Demon, also an Italian film.
Is there a spider walk
There's
in there?
a moment, yeah, she does do kind of like a spider walk thing while she's being exorcised.
Okay.
So I watched it, and I watched the whole thing. Obviously, I have it, so you know.
So
it's a
that's
bizarre kind of film.
You know why I find that interesting, Baron Von? Because I always thought that The Exorcist was the first of its kind. Apparently, there were demon possession movies before The Exorcist. Huh?
The Devil's 1971.
What is
based on the Huxley?
Whoa.
Huxley.
What's he?
Don't do that.
What?
Don't show that. Okay, we'll go like this.
No.
What's he doing? Oh, he's just looking up. Don't worry. But you know, there was some of this.
Yo, is that what? No,
some
take
of the
your hand
things
down.
from
Take
the-
your hand
the
down. Take your
Devils-
hand down. It's
the
fine.
Devils of
It's fine.
London, I think that's how
Show
you
the
pronounce
cover
it.
again. Show the cover. Let's see.
It was a Huxley book. What is he doing?
I don't know.
The
I think
70s.
Yeah,
Anyway.
that's the 70s. A lot of things like that happened in the 70s. Only in the 70s.
But
Anyway.
then, you know, there was some of that. There was a little bit of influence in the Exorcist book that had from the Devils of London. I think it was Huxley that wrote it.
Okay.
And this was the movie, the 71 film that was supposed to be based on that book.
Oh, okay.
Here's the German film. It's funny. I brought this up in a short where Carl, you know, the servant.
Yeah.
From The Exorcist.
Yeah.
A year later, he ends up in this film, The Devil's Female, as a priest.
He looks like he's doing an exercise.
Oh yeah, she's doing something all right.
Like,
But this goes under, okay, it's got two titles. This is The Devil's Female.
Okay.
And it also goes by Magdalena, Possessed by the Devil. And it's weird because like a lot of these films that were coming out after the The Exorcist came out were more like a sexploitation kind of thing going on with it. You know, they kind of throw that in there.
That was the time for it.
Here's
Yeah,
this was I can't remember what this is. 1974 again. Exorcism. Look, she's bound on that now. She looks like she's bound on some kind of S&M thing or something.
Looks more like a concert from a famous pop star.
Sure.
Right now.
Oh, I don't know. It could be Wasp. He might be tormenting this girl.
Okay. You know what's interesting? I find
This one they called the Exorcist Italian style Antichrist. You know what's funny with this cover though? It kind of reminds me of the artwork that they were using for like Exorcist 2.
Yeah, like her Reagan's room.
The weird kind of like fisheye lens kind of shots.
Yeah, there was a lot of fisheye lenses in that Exorcist 2. I mean, a lot of us would like to forget Exorcist 2 because it kind of sucked, but you know, and that's always the thing about, you know, when you make a good movie and you want to make you know, sequels and prequels and requels and whatever the heck you want of the, you know, you end up messing things up sometimes. Exorcist 3, it managed to survive that a little bit.
Yeah, it would have been interesting. You just stuck with the title he wanted, Legion.
But then there wouldn't have been they would have been like, what's that? You know, they wouldn't have known. Maybe which is kind of like still, you know. But
or they could have called it Exorcist Legion.
Yeah,
that probably would have been fine.
That would have worked.
You know, you wouldn't have to worry about being connected to any kind of franchise or follow this end part.
Absolutely.
And here's a title for you: The Eerie Midnight Horror Show. What kind?
That's a long ass title.
And it's more so like, I guess. Okay, let me read the back. Satan arises seeking bloody revenge in the guise of an ancient sculpture.
No, I got you.
We had a bunch of those coming out.
I got one. Ready? Hold up.
Yep.
Tell me if you saw this one. Hold up.
Is that the one with Clint Howard, Evil Speak?
Damn, dude! How did you know I was gonna put that up?
Because you're running out of. You gave me a list, and you're running out. Plus, you asked me.
Oh, you know what? I don't have it ready to present. I don't have it ready
because I didn't see that one.
You didn't see Evil Speak?
No, you know, it's like just on the description. It's kind of like what he was getting revenge on some bullies or something. So
yeah, it was kind of it had a bit of a Carrie theme to it. Carrie kind of theme.
Did he actually get possessed though?
Except he gets possessed because what happened?
Oh, okay, so he did get possessed.
So no. Here's how it works.
Okay.
The movie starts 1,000 years or thousands of years ago, hundreds of years. I forgot how long. And in some castle or whatever, and there was this warlock or whatever who did a spell or did something, I forgot. And then it goes to our modern time, and this kid is like, he's a computer whiz. So this was the early 80s. So, you think of Videodrome, you think of Tron, you think of war games. Computers started becoming a big thing during the 80s. Evil Speak wanted to also capitalize on that, so it used computers like the demonic used a computer program to get, and it was the spirit. I think it was the spirit of the warlock, right? The warlock.
Okay.
And it got to him, and then you hear all this like Omen kind of music, and he's got a big sword. I don't know where the hell he got the sword from. He's floating around killing all the bullies and shit, and they're like, oh, I was like, okay, are you a demon or are you Conan? Because I'm starting to scratch. Yeah. It felt like almost like Conan the Barbarian for a second. Like,
what was it? What was that thing that Arnold Schwarzenegger said when he was asked that question in Conan the Barbarian about
raping and pillaging and taking their women and shit?
Something like that.
Something like that.
I'm possessed by the spirit.
What it is, I don't like the demon in me. I gotta get to the chopper. Yes, exactly. Oh my god.
Your mother's in here with his carrots.
You did that.
You might loosen the straps then. Get to the chopper.
You get to the chopper now. You can do this. I don't want.
During the whole exorcism, he's all like, ah.
Oh shit, that's good.
It
That's-
burns.
It burns. I don't know what
Like
to
a
do to
good
this.
workout.
Put that water alone. Get it away from me.
My biceps.
Oh my god, that's great.
You have to get that burn.
So you got, so you know you got all these movies.
Nice
and you
day
just
for a
showed a
walk.
lot there.
Nice night for a walk.
So you got The Exorcist. You got Evil Speak. You got The Evil Dead. You got The Conjuring. You got Exorcism of Emily Rose. The Last Exorcism. The Ritual. The Conjuring. God, there's been so many more that came out these past couple of years that I can't think of them because they're forgettable.
What was that one? And I don't know if it really counts. Is the Evil Lurks one?
When Evil
Another
Lurks,
one-
that's what we talked about last week. A little while ago. They came out a little over a year ago.
Yeah.
I went to see that in the theater. That was good. But it was hard for me to call it a demon possession.
Yeah,
movie,
I'd like to, but
you know.
especially those moments when all of a sudden, she turns around, she's like bashing herself in the head with a axe.
No, my favorite scene was the one with the dog and the little girl.
Oh,
That was classic. I was like,
I forgot about that.
dude, that threw me. When that happened, I was taken aback. I was like, holy shit, they went there. They really went there, didn't they?
Yeah, I think I'm gonna watch it
I couldn't
again.
believe it. I couldn't believe it, bro.
I'm
I
gonna
couldn't
watch
believe
it
it. It was
again. I
crazy.
want to watch that again.
Wait, my buddy Frank here, Lord Darth, don't forget Repossessed. Remember you
we did
mentioned
bring that up.
Repossessed earlier? That was good. I like Repossessed.
She's done a couple of like parodies. She's got that Repossessed one. There's one on YouTube where she plays not just the mom, but she plays the possessed girl in it. I don't know when she made this. I think it was called the Heckling. If you look it up on YouTube, she's possessed by I can't remember. It was like comedians or something. Like doing stage performances on her bed,
like doing stand up. Is that what
doing
I'm hearing?
stand up or something like that? Yeah, it was weird.
It's called
It was like,
heckling or the heckler?
yeah, I think it's called the Heckling.
The heckling. Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, I definitely throw
I
that my
think-
way in Instagram because that sounds amazing.
find it.
But I tell you this, guys, and I hope everyone out here is listening because I'm about to wrap things up. We're getting near to the hour and a half mark. Demon possession, here's my wrap up about demon possession movies and stuff like that. They're definitely a genuine, excellent subgenre in the staple of horror films, right? But we have to remember that we can discern what is fact and what is fiction. If you are a person of belief, of religious belief, like I am, like I'm Catholic and stuff, I do believe that some of this is true. For instance, in the case of Annalise Mitchell, did you hear the recordings of the exorcism of Annalise Mitchell?
Yeah, I've heard that one.
Yeah. And so me hearing that makes me go, yeah, that's definitely sounds like somebody who was, demonically possessed. But but I always issue a word of in regards to be discerning and be judgmental. Judge it. Be judgmental and be skeptical, and don't assume everything is about the devil. Always rule everything else out before coming to that conclusion. Now, in movies, you can, the sky's the limit. You know what I'm saying? Everything from pea soup to spider walks to crawling up the wall and I hate that shit. It's stupid. I'm like, oh God.
It kind of reminds me of what was that? I think they called it Ju-on in the original film. The one where
you're talking about
house,
I know you're talking
and
about
the Grudge.
The Grudge.
The Grudge. Yeah, it reminds me of the
Grudge.
Grudge every time I hear that.
Yeah, something like that. Like I'm like, okay, actually I should do that for live stream one day. Japanese horror or Asian horror. I'll say Asian.
Yeah, like the Asian extreme
because
ones.
it's not just Japanese but Korea and they do a lot of good stuff.
Yeah, they got some nice stuff.
They do. They
They
really
got some.
do. So I
I
think
can't
that would be a
remember.
good
I've got
topic for
only
the
actually
future.
owned a couple of them
Yeah.
that I
Oh,
could find because it seemed like when we still had Blockbuster, they even the one we had an Asian extreme section,
because
and
because
so
a lot of these
it was
Asian
easy to
people,
find it. It's harder to find now unless you know what you're looking for.
well, they
or
know how to make
who
a
you're-
good damn movie. I'll tell you that.
Yeah,
They do.
yeah. And then when the U.S. tries to make a remake and they just don't understand the culture, it doesn't help.
I agree.
And they've
The
done that
Grudge
a
is a
couple
movie
times.
like that. The Ring is a movie like that. So those are the two that stick out in my head right now, as far as that's concerned. I totally get it. Baron Von, I want to thank you.
Well, I appreciate you inviting me on here.
Of
It's been a
course,
while. And I'm
your
glad my microphone works, so that's great.
your microphone works great. I appreciate your input. I appreciated all those movie titles that you just showed me that I didn't even know existed. Most
I'm
of them
gonna
I
try
didn't
to
know.
review those.
Definitely, I want to say. So, for those of you, Baron Von, plug in your channel. Talk about it real quick.
Oh, Exorcist reviews. I cover stuff on The Exorcist. I've even got a few Christmas videos where you're like, what you can get for like $50, $100, $20. I've got a section like that.
Nice.
And you got to listen to it all the way through because I did an AI of both Chris and Reagan McNeil talking to each other. Where she's talking to Captain Howdy about Christmas.
Oh,
and it's this bizarre kind of way to end the video, but I'm working on two things. One, I'm trying to take the original Friedkin film and turn it into a silent film. I've got part 1 out.
Mm-hmm.
And again, I'm working on just discussing the miniseries.
Excellent. Yeah, I'm definitely curious about this miniseries. I'm very interested in that. So definitely, I'm looking forward to looking at all of that. And ladies and gentlemen, check out his channel, Exorcist Reviews, if you want to know more. I will also put links below for on certain reviews I did, especially of The Exorcist. I did an in-depth retro review on that a few years back. I will put that link below as well. And, again, if you're interested in the content that I am providing here in Horror and Coffee, please tap on the bell for future notifications so that you can know what's happening here, more future Horror and Coffee content. Please consider subscribing. And I have a Patreon and a Buy Me a Coffee. So if any of you guys are interested in supporting the channel in any particular way, whether it's through this live stream or the replay, because this is now going to be part of the channel, this little presentation. I hope more of you get to see it. Please consider doing all of those things to support the channel. Horror and Coffee has been around for a long time. I'd like it to keep going. Okay, and I can't do that without.
I'm still trying to get a mug.
Yeah, I'm still trying
to. Have this?
I'm still trying to produce a mug.
Okay.
Because
I want a Horror and Coffee mug.
I haven't forgotten about you,
my other mugs,
brother. I haven't forgotten about you. I'm just trying to get the right production of it right, so I can. I'm gonna
take a minute to say that if you want to find some really good merch when it comes to like Exorcist stuff too, you could check out Linda Blair's World Foundation shop, because a lot of times she'll have some great stuff out there. I've actually got a couple of her.
Right next to the dog, right next to her.
I even have her roller boogie mug.
You sound so proud.
That's and I got a Exorcist 2 the Heretic T-shirt. Don't tell anybody.
Oh, trust me, I won't. Hey! At least you don't have an Exorcist Believer T-shirt.
Oh God. I would like to have Gordon Green on my channel just to start off with what happened.
I would have been like, yeah, Gordon, what the hell were you thinking?
He was saying in an interview that nobody probably even read after the fact that he was going to take Deceiver in a direction where it followed Ann Dowd's character. And she goes to Europe. So I'm not sure what in the world he was doing with all that. So
never mind.
Yeah, that's fine.
That's okay. Do something else.
That's okay.
God, it's fine.
It is. But yeah, I'm going to try to have Joseph Laycock on the program, and we're probably going
Excellent.
to talk about exorcisms.
Any
If you want to jump on, I can
I
invite you as well. I mean, it'd be
I,
nice
I would
have
love
more
to
than
be on
one
one of
person.
your shows. Yeah.
Yeah.
What about the son of William Peter Blatty? I know you've had him on your
Yeah.
show.
Yeah, we still got. Well, I was kind of waiting until the new Exorcist movie came out.
Okay.
And hopefully, if a trailer comes out one of these days, maybe I can have him on and ask him what he thought of the trailer.
That would be great. That would definitely be great. All right.
I'm still coming through a lot of the stuff that we did on the live Q&A. And when I did the live Q&A with him, I promoted it, but I also had people give me any questions. And when the live Q&A actually happened, I took those questions first.
Oh, okay.
And had them all done up, in the little dealio off on the side in the comments, and went with that. So, if you didn't have enough people in to ask questions, you had enough questions to ask, to start off with. And then, like after we were finished with that, go to the questions anybody else had. And we did that. It was great. And there's all kinds of stuff I'm still coming through that was like, oh yeah, he did say that, didn't he? That kind of thing.
Fair enough. Awesome. All right. Well, again, Baron Von, thank you again for being here. Thank you for those of you who are watching. Thank you for those who are going to watch the replay. Appreciate it. Until next time, more horror movie reviews to come up. The summer just started, so there's a couple more things that I'm looking forward to seeing. So you'll see those reviews right here on Horror and Coffee. Until next time, guys, thank you and take care.
Thanks for having me on. Appreciate it.
Thank you for being on.
Thanks, everybody.
All right, say goodbye. Very good.
Don't forget to wave.
Don't forget to wave.
Bye, folks.
Bye.
There you go.
Very